Welcome back to The Chosen Journey with Steve Carsey. And today, Steve and I are honored and privileged to have not only a living legend in the baseball world, but sincerely one of the finest human beings I think we'll ever meet in our lifetimes, Mr. Fred Clare. Fred, thank you very much for joining us today.
Great to be with you and Steve, Jonathan, and happy to have this opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Anytime, thank you.
First question before we jump into everything else, because I have to ask it. I know Steve may punch me afterwards, but Fred, you had overlap between the two of you. I know you had him on the draft board. I know you're looking to acquire him at some point. True or false?
Well, I think that's true. I can't say specifically, but you know, when you're in a position of looking to improve your team, there are a lot of names that enter a conversation, and certainly a lot of names in the world that I dealt with, because I relied heavily on some very great scouts. Steve knew many of them, the wonderful Mel Didier, Phil Regan, and when you have scouts of that caliber, a lot of names cross, and you know, you research and you look at a lot of players, and I never ever considered any of that a waste of time, even though it didn't develop into a trade, because you're gathering information, and it's all about information and good homework, and ultimately a decision.
And that's where I was thinking when I've done research on you, Fred, and we're gonna get into the book Extra Innings. It's over here, so it's coming, folks. But trying to understand your mindset of how you do business, so to speak, I really respect the fact that you look beyond the numbers, even though you were a trailblazer in analytics. But you would go, and I think you would find their grade 1 teacher, you'd find their baseball coach from high school, you'd find anybody you could to try to understand character. And that's where I feel very fortunate to have such great baseball greatness in this room right now as we're speaking, because I can tell you, becoming friends with Steve and understanding what he's about, beyond the numbers, you know, it's a terrific human being, like just as far as character-wise. And that's where I thought, you know, it'd be amazing to see the two of you mesh together, because I think if you would have played together or on the same team, I think you would have really got along because of the heart that Steve has. And I think that shows because he went on to coaching. And a lot of coaches, as far as from my experience goes, it's the people that work the hardest, and that's where they try to bring forward to the younger generation.
Well, even though Steve and I didn't have the chance to be together, we were together in the baseball world. And I have an instinct that we would have been very close, because as I look back, and fortunate to be with the Dodgers for 30 years and a fan long before that, when I saw my first game at Crosley Field in Cincinnati at the age of 12 or 13, I was in love and passionate about the game of baseball. But the most, in looking back, without question, the most underrated part of a scouting report and evaluating players is seldom mentioned, and it should be always at the forefront: character, makeup. This isn't even a question. You have to have a certain ability to be considered as a professional player. I was blessed through my Dodger career at the start to know Jackie Robinson, Roy Campanella, Duke Snyder, Pee Wee Reese, Carl Erskine, a dear friend today. And carry that into the years of Koufax and Don Drysdale and the dear friend Maury Wills, who I stay in close touch with. Carry that through Garvey, Lopes, Russell, Say, Reggie, Dusty. Carry that right on through Kirk Gibson and Orel and Mickey Hatcher. And I was together with the the latest people that I mentioned at the wonderful service for the great, memorable, unforgettable Vin Scully yesterday at his service. So there is a common thread in the greatness of players. There is a common thread, and that is the makeup of the individual. And as a general manager, I wanted to know about the people. I wanted to know who they were. I wanted to know how they played the game. I wanted to understand them. And when I knew them, then I was very comfortable with the people that I knew, that we had brought the right people into our clubhouse. So I'm a huge believer in character.
Yeah, so that takes me to my question, which was going to come up. And the game has changed, right? In the last 30 years with analytics, those scouts that you've discussed and talked about are getting weeded out of the game. They're not as important anymore because of the analytics and doing that. We always talk about the human element of the game and what that person brings to the table. So can you just touch on a little bit, Fred, about what you think about analytics, the scouting off of the computer that many teams do these days, along with the scouts who are kind of being watered down and not having a voice in the room?
Great question, Steve. And as Jonathan mentioned, I was a believer in analytics. I was a pioneer in analytics. A young man from Caltech who's gone on to become one of the top analytical people in the game, Ari Kaplan. We went into the analytics business. Analytics you can use and you need as a point of information. But I will go back. If they gave me an opportunity today, which isn't going to happen at my age and stage, the first thing that I would look at would be the people that I want to bring into our organization. And they would be based in the scouting, because I don't care. Scouting, player development are still, it's not a close race, are the most important facts, features of a baseball organization today. You have to identify that and know that. And the other part of that is when you have true leadership, when you get that person who becomes representative of what you're trying to do and becomes the leader. So you can use analytics to help you, although you didn't need it to define the talent of a Mookie Betts. And I don't even know Mookie Betts, but I know a leader when I see one. I didn't have the honor to know Bill Russell of the Celtics. I saw him many times, but I could see in person and off the TV screen the wonders of Bill Russell, who was all about bringing the people with him. And that was the element, even in bringing someone into your organization. There is no question. It probably gets overblown, as Kirk would be the first to say. But what Kirk brought to a team that had been 16 games under 500, Steve, 16 games under 500 the two previous seasons, and a world championship. And you know what he would shout when he came into the clubhouse? What a team. Take all the analytics you want, take anything you want. You don't have anything. You've lived it, Steve. You know, yes. You know one of the people I would call upon to scout players? The visiting clubhouse guy. I'm sure there are general managers that don't know the name of the visiting clubhouse guy. The visiting clubhouse guy knew how those players got along with one another. They knew who the leader was. They knew who the guy was who came in with a hangover. They knew who the guy was who really was just there and really didn't give a damn. They know. You have to find the people who know.
That's amazing insight, because that is so true. There are so many people within, the circles of baseball that can give you information, maybe not from your own clubhouse, but from outside or elsewhere. And it's I love the passion that you talk about some of this stuff, because I've been coaching for the last 12 years. Obviously, I stepped away to spend more time with my family, but just seeing some of this stuff with the shifts and the percentages and things like that. But it's taken away from some of the fun in the game, I believe, in my opinion. Just watching it, it's a lot of walks, it's home runs and it's strikeouts. It used to be an embarrassment to strike out in the game 30 years ago when you would walk back to the dugout, and today it seems just like it's commonplace, as long as I put up a 3-run homer somewhere along the line.
No, much has changed, but the importance of the player and identifying that player. And I stay close to the game through friends in the game, so I certainly know the changes, see the changes, but I also see how a team can come together. I've had the wonderful honor to get to know and become a very good friend of Dave Roberts. Maury Wills had called me when Dave was named the manager of the Dodgers and asked if I would meet with him at the winter meetings. And so I met with Dave, and we connected from the moment we met, and have stayed connected. And he's in a position where he's in an organization that relies on analytics. And very candidly, I haven't said it publicly, but it's the fact. I said, Dave, you're in a position now where you're an organization that uses a lot of analytics. You listen to it, you look at it, but you, my friend, you make the decisions that you know are the right decisions for your ball club. So he's an example. And I don't mean to say that simply because it's a Dodger and it's Dave Roberts, but I know leadership when I see it. And I think that what he and the Dodger front office have developed there is a very powerful group of players who come together as a team. Now, Jonathan and Steve, to the point of analytics, you know where analytics are most helpful? It has nothing to do, in my view, and Steve, you were a coach, you know this.
Yeah.
If I can use analytics to help you as a pitcher, if I can show you weight transfer, if I can show you release point and the consistency or the non-consistent, it's like a golf pro. I can help you be a better pitcher. Why do the Dodgers bring in these pitchers who have struggled elsewhere, who have success? They've got 20 people in analytics, and including 2 students who when I had the honor to teach a class at Caltech. And when you talk about bright young people, you're talking about Caltech who didn't even know there was a place in sports. So use analytics. But the idea of a shift, if I was running a ball club today, I'll tell you one thing, when our players started out in rookie ball, you'd be learning how to hit it. If you were a left-hand hit, you'd be learning how to hit the ball to left field. I guarantee you. And not only that, you know why, Steve? Because you know the game. Because when you stay back and you hit the ball to left field, just like winning balls, that's the way you learn how to hit.
That's right.
But we have people in the game who don't really understand the game is the problem. I shouldn't say that, but I feel that at times.
When you mention analytics to that level, Steve's eyes lit up like a kid at Christmas. You were singing his tune completely. Now, I gotta just put something into context now for the listeners. I feel like I want to ask for ID at the moment because this person in front of us that's speaking claims to be, I believe, 87 years old. He looks no shade, maybe past 47. I have seen 20-year-olds on 3 Red Bulls that do not have the energy of this man. Fred, where did you find the fountain of youth? Like, you have the greatest head of hair I've ever seen. Your eyes light up. How do you do this, man? How do you have this energy through everything you've gone through in life and be invigorated, like you're ready to go run a marathon right now?
I have been blessed. I've had a passion for the game as far as my career, as I mentioned, from the time I saw a game at Crosley Field. So I remember Grady Hatton and Hank Sauer and Frankie Baumholtz and Ewell Blackwell. I mean, those were the players of the 40s, late 40s. My brother and I trapped muskrats in Ohio, and I bought the 1948 World Series film. I can play the 1948 World Series for you in my mind. And then to have the honor to get to know most of those people. So with the passing of my dear friend Vinny, our bond was that I understood and fed off of his passion for the game, but and to have the great honor, and I don't want to get carried away, to be with Jackie Robinson, to meet him in 1972, and then to be with him at his last public appearance at the World Series in Cincinnati, and to have that honor to be impacted. So what feeds me is what I feel about Jackie in an event recently at the Rose Bowl where I was teaching to or talking to a group of USC students. They know how much I treasure this quote, Jackie's quote, the most important quote that any of us will hear. A life is not important except on the impact it has on other lives. So I'm passionate because I have been blessed, and in fighting the cancer battle, to say I look okay is a credit to my surgeon, Dr. Gernon and Dr. Mazzarelli, because twice they've cut my throat to remove cancer, first from my jawbone, and then the last operation 3 years ago, almost at this time of the year, where 3 doctors in a very long operation took the fibula from my left leg and replaced my jawbone. So I know why I'm here. I know who to give credit to. And I'm simply, I love life. I love life.
I want to put this into perspective for people as far as, you know, a lot of us think, Fred, we're put on this earth. We don't know if we come back. We don't know if reincarnation is a thing. So we try to live every day and try to make the most of it. But people say, you know, what is our legacy at the end of the day? One of your legacy items, which absolutely blew me away, because to me, it's always been out there, was the term Dodger Blue. And you think of it as Yankee pinstripes, but the person who came up with that phrase is sitting in this room right now. Did you ever think that phrase would blow up the way it did? And how did that come to you?
It came to me because when I started with the Dodgers, first in publicity and then in marketing, I wanted to create all but a college atmosphere. I wanted to create something that was really beyond a professional level, that it was more than that it was a spirit. And I was born and raised in Ohio, so I was not necessarily a Michigan fan, the opposite of that, indeed. But when with Michigan and Big Blue, and so the Dodgers, when they had come to Los Angeles, as history would show, is that it was still the Brooklyn Bums came to Los Angeles, the Bums. But now you have this team in Los Angeles. And so to create an atmosphere, and Dodger Blue wasn't there, didn't exist. And so I started a campaign, I believe it was in 1977. We had a public workout play in USC, so had the invitation, come out and wear Dodger Blue. I had a dinner the night before with our stadium operations manager and Peter O'Malley, and Peter said, Bob Smith, hey, Bob, why don't we paint even the fences for tomorrow? We should have painted the fences a darker shade of blue and paint the bases blue. And lo and behold, Bob Smith left the dinner, made a call, and had his grounds crew do that. So we created something. And I knew that we had it after, and we had the greatest guy to spread the blue in the wonderful Tommy Lasorda. And I knew that we had achieved it when Union Oil, a year or two later, came out with a bumper sticker. No logo, no name Dodgers, 2 words, think blue. And I thought, we've done it. And so and when I say that, like anything else, like the winning team, it's not Fred. It is a group of people that have to come together to make things like that happen. But you want to create a spirit within an organization. You want to create. Steve's been in the game. He knows it from the standpoint of being a coach and a player. If you want to know about a general manager, don't ask the general manager. Ask the scouts he worked with. Ask the people in player development. Ask the clubhouse people. Ask the former players. And whatever they tell you about that person, believe me, write it down as factual. So your job, if you're going to be a successful general manager, as successful as you can be, bring the people together as a team. And Dodger Blue is part of that.